All right, guys, today we are digging into all things new construction.
You better get fired up.
All right, thanks for joining us. Today, Lissette and I are going to get into all of the mistakes that we've seen our buyers get themselves into when they're getting into new construction. A lot of these things really just kind of takes planning, right? And if you're working with a good realtor, they're going to walk you through a lot of those planning stages and help you prepare for this. But man, if you can listen to a video like this, you're going to get around so many of those mistakes. If you've got any questions, comments, anything like that, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free to hop down in the comments, leave them, and we will respond before the end of the video. Lissette, how you doing today?
I'm awesome. How are you, Joe?
I'm awesome too. You got a furry friend there.
She's always by my side.
Always. Well, happy Monday. All right, let's dig into it. Tell me the first thing that you would recommend a buyer think about in order to avoid a pitfall with new construction.
Research and find first a realtor to come with you to all the builders. Have someone to be your advocate along the way. So I would say first start by getting a realtor. Getting someone who understands the market that you're in, understands your builders, your options, and is willing to make appointments for all these builders and get you in the door to discuss all your options. Don't bypass what you think may not be an opportunity for you. You have a lot of options here. You have custom homes, you have production builders. So it's really finding out where in the scheme of everything do you fit in as a buyer and which one offers the most benefit to you, not only construction-wise, but financing-wise also.
Now, I'm a realtor, so I'm a little biased, but I like that you started with that one. And I'll tell you the reason is, you know, a lot of the calls that I get that are issues with new construction, they're not my clients. They're friends of mine who chose to go with a builder and did not get representation through a realtor. And now they're frustrated because of, you know, whatever it was they thought they were going to get, or maybe they had a verbal agreement with that builder, or maybe they misunderstood what that builder was talking about. Sometimes the lingo can kind of go in one ear and out the other. They're not getting what it is that they wanted, or they're in some pretty tight positions that I'll talk about a little bit later. And I really think, you know, to get a realtor involved, I would say 90% of builders are going to charge you the same price whether you've got a realtor or not. There are 10% of builders, I'm making that number up, but it's probably pretty accurate, are going to charge more to cover the commission of the realtor, right? If you don't use a realtor, they just take that as pure profit. So assuming you're with one of those 90% of builders, it in no way hurts you to have a realtor. In fact, it helps you. If you're with one of the 10% of builders, then you've got to look at, okay, is it worth it or not? Number one. And number two, why is this builder incentivizing me not getting represented by somebody? Is that someone you truly want to work with? And I'm not saying do it or don't do it, but at least consider it, right? So I think that's a great place to start. What else you got, Lissette?
And again, just going back to understanding your options, you need to sit down and write out what is it that you're looking in your new home? What is it, things that you have to have? And or are you a new first-time home buyer and you're just looking for a great deal, get your first home under you? If you are someone a little bit more experienced, maybe your second home, there's certain features you know you really want on a property, then I would say really sit down with some of these custom builders because they can make that happen. If you want a pool, production builders really don't do that. Custom homes do. If you want an outdoor bar, a certain feature in your home that's different, or maybe you just want a whole new floor plan that you're going to make up with an architect on your own, then definitely research your custom home builders. If you are a first-time home buyer, I love taking my first-time home buyers to builders because they do offer a lot of incentives, especially now. They have closing cost incentives. They have buyer rate buy down incentives. So understanding again your options and where you fall within the new construction range, and then see which option is best for you.
I like that. Now you're using a couple different terms. I want to make sure everybody watching knows. You got production builders, you got custom builders. So production builder is someone who says, I'm the builder. I'm going to build these 3 types of homes. We've got the platinum, gold, and silver packages. That way I don't have to waste too much time getting in depth with a lot of different things. Let's go build 1 million homes, right? That's a production builder. They're not trying to build the best, most beautiful, high quality home. They're not trying to build something that's going to fit everything that that buyer wants. They're trying to build massive amounts of homes as quickly as possible. And they're going to make a profit off selling a ton of homes, right? Whereas a custom builder is saying, hey, if you're a little pickier and you want that exact floor plan, or maybe you want something really unique, like a lot of the things that you were talking about there with pools, outdoor kitchens, whatever it is, then you can come to us. Are they going to be a little bit more expensive? Absolutely they are. But you're going to get every single thing you want. So if you want certain things, custom's the way to go. If you want price, production's the way to go. But realize you're giving up the other by going with the one. You can't say I want everything and I want it cheap. That's usually not how it goes. So that's a great example too. What else you got, Lissette?
Timeline, it takes time, especially today, trying to get building materials to build a property. Now, one thing we have been seeing in the last month or so, there is inventory now. Builders are having a little bit more inventory.
Nice.
They have properties that maybe they're in the process of building, they don't have a specific buyer for yet. So the timeline may be 30 days and maybe a couple months out. Or if you start from scratch, you may be looking 7, 8, 9 months down the road. So understanding that timeline and see how that works for you. If that works for you and that's a perfect situation, great. A lot of times for sellers, if you're selling a property and you're looking for another property, now you're the buyer, that might not work out so great. If you have a contract on your property, you know where you're going to go. You might have to rent something. So understanding the cost that comes also with that timeline.
That's perfect. And I'm going to throw a couple things in that kind of, lead into that too. Before you start this whole process, I really can't promote enough or recommend enough getting your lot chosen after the house. Pick your house first, because I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of people who want a monster, let's say 2,500, 3,000 square foot house. They want a 3-stall garage and they want a circular driveway. And then they come in 2 weeks later and they say, hey, I got a lot. And it's a normal 80 by 125 lot here in Port St. Lucie. And we have to look at them and say, you can't build that house that you wanted on that lot. Once you have the setbacks and everything else, maybe we can do a 2-stall, or maybe we can do a 2,200 with a 3-stall, or whatever it is. And it creates disappointment. I've seen that a handful of times. So guys, figure out the footprint of the house that you want first, and then go lot shopping. And it's as easy as literally taking that listing you're thinking about purchasing, whatever lot it is, and sending it to your builder in a text. And they'll say, yes, it'll work. No, it won't work. And now you're set, right? So really picking that floor plan before you're going to move forward. Another thing I would say too, you were talking about the timeline. You've got phenomenal builders out there right now with phenomenal intent, working their butts off. They've got subs who are working their butts off, but because of the materials that they need and some of the challenges we've had over the last 2 years with those, they might not be able to finish on time. Does it suck? Is it inconvenient? Unquestionably. But there's nothing that they can do about it in a lot of these situations. So it's really important to have a plan B for your housing situation for maybe 1 to 3 months after that build date is supposed to happen, right? I've seen a lot of builds extend beyond the date. And I'll tell you right now, if anybody's telling you 7, 8 months, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say it's very rare to see that. And if they say it, I don't think anybody fully controls getting something done in 7 to 8 months. So having that in place, that plan B on housing, whether it's unfortunately living with friends or family or whatever it is, hey, it's a month to 3 months. It's not a big deal. And it'll allow you to go in there and get a lot of your stuff in there and get it all rearranged before you actually move in. I think that's a good plan too. Lissette, do you have any other things you'd like to add to this?
Upgrades. When you're going to walk through that door, you're going to see some of these models and they look stunning. And then when you sit down with the builder's representative and your agent, they start going through the list of upgrades and you're like, well, that's not included, but it's in the floor plan here on this house I'm sitting at. And it's not a lot of times. So understand the cost that comes with those upgrades and understand what is really important, and maybe if you're on a budget, what's a need and what's a want. So for example, I always tell my buyers, well, flooring is pretty important, because once you're in there, and what if they start with a basic kind of tile that you're really not happy with and you're going to want to tear it out, to take that out or to even lay tile on top of that, that's a pretty big project and pricey as well. So I would say that would be an upgrade to maybe spend some money on. Countertops is another one. Maybe it's a small upgrade as some molding. Well, molding's not that such a big deal. It's not so costly. You could do that after the fact. So really just understanding what upgrades are most important to you the pricing of maybe doing those upgrades outside of the builder in the future, and the inconvenience that comes of doing some of those upgrades after the fact too.
I love that. So I'm going to get into some of the other things that you're going to want to think of here. Short appraisals have been happening. Now, I don't foresee this happening as much, but we don't know what's going to happen with the market. The market could go up, it could go down, it could stay the same. A year ago, we weren't really questioning what was happening with the market. It was going crazy. Now, nobody knows. So if you buy a home for whatever, let's say $500,000, there's a chance that when it gets appraised in 10, 11 months, it appraises for 480. If it appraises for 480, all your financing is going to be figured off of 480, meaning that extra 20 grand, either the builder's going to have to drop their price, which good luck, or you're going to have to come up with that cash difference, or you risk losing the house. So what I recommend is if you love this house, you're going to put down some escrow deposit at the beginning, right? You do not want to lose that money. So have some sort of money set aside just in case there's a short appraisal. And it's hard to give a recommendation on how much because you don't know what's going to happen with the market. But just be prepared that that's a possibility. And that leads me to my next thing, which is make sure you fully understand your contract. If you've got a contract that, you know, they call it the Florida FAR bar, right? The as-is contract. That's what we write 99% of our offers on. But you're going to see with builders, especially custom builders, they use their own contract. These bigger production builders, they've got their attorneys building contracts that have teeth in there to make sure you as a buyer are not getting out. Everything is in their favor. So if you're not aware of what those things are, man, you could be putting yourself into a bind. I'm going to give you an example. This goes back to not using a realtor and not understanding your contracts. Good friend of mine decided that she was going to go without a realtor, and she was excited about this house. It was a beautiful house. She showed it to me. And about 10 months later, she called me crying. And I said, what's going on? The house, I'm making up numbers here. The house was $500,000. Let's use the same numbers. And it appraised for 480. And they're telling me I have to come up with 20 grand cash, or they're going to keep my deposit, keep the house, and they're going to sell the house to somebody else. And I said, send me your contract. So she sent me her contract, and I said, oh, yep, right here. It says they can do exactly that. And she's like, how could that possibly happen? So you've got to know your contracts, right? Here's another thing. A lot of builders right now, I would say maybe 70, 80% of builders, if you sign with them in their contract, it states that if the price of their materials goes up, you're going to pay the difference, all right? So number one, how easy is it to manipulate the prices of what it is I as a builder am putting into your home? I don't know that I trust that. I want to know that you as a builder trust your prices. And if you can't get your hands on materials now at today's prices, that concerns me, right? I want to work with a builder who is confident in their pricing. They're out there. I promise you, in my opinion, I would find them unless you've got money to blow and you're not really worried about getting your house or not. But that is another big part that you're going to want to take a look at. I thought there was one more thing I was going to throw in here. Researching your builder. If you don't research your builder, I think you're putting yourself in a tough position. I can't tell you how many people walk into a house, love the house, put an offer in that day or maybe the next day, and then halfway through the process or maybe 3 months after they're done building, they start hearing all these rumors about that builder, and they find out, oh my gosh, this is not the builder I wished I was with. I wish I was with that builder or that builder, whatever it is. Guys, look at Google reviews. Google is strong. Look at Facebook. In fact, go onto a Facebook page and put, I'm looking in such and such city for a custom builder or for a production builder. Who is the best? Now you're going to get all the reps. I rep a builder here locally. You're going to see me and I'm going to put my builder, right? But you're going to see all the people in the community who've built with people say, I built with so-and-so, love them, use them. I built with so-and-so, can't stand them, don't ever use them. In my opinion, that's the best way to do it is to go into one of those, you know, for me, it's Port St. Lucie. Go into a Port St. Lucie garage sale or mom's group or whatever it is and put what you're looking for. And the moms will let you know, man. There's no better networking than a mom's group. They'll let you know exactly who you should be with and who you shouldn't be with. Lissette, do you have any other points that you'd like to close us out with?
An important one, and this goes back to having a good team around you and having a good lender and having them explain to you how the property is assessed and how that's going to affect your monthly mortgage payment
The
a
big one.
year from now.
Yeah.
When you close, you're going to have a mortgage payment with an assessed tax on the land, not on the property itself with the
Yep.
structure on it. That's going to come next year in your next taxes. So you're going to see an increase in your mortgage. Understand that so you don't get a shock next year when you get your new mortgage and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm paying for $500 more because now you're being assessed at the whole entire value, the structure plus the land. So understand that, there's so many good lenders out there and they should all go through this with you. But if they don't, remember to ask that question, or your realtor should know also and explain that to you.
That's a great point. And we've both seen that happen many times
Mhm.
where it's a surprise for people. So great final point. Guys, I appreciate you joining us. Like I said, if you've got comments, questions, whether it's after or during, you can always put them down in the comments and we will get back to you. Thanks for joining us again, Lissette. I appreciate you, bud. Have a great Monday.